Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
What happened to Javion McGee? The family of the 21-year-old man found dead with a rope around his neck is demanding answers.
And we're finally getting to see some sunshine outside, but it won't necessarily last. I'll have a closer look at when we could see some thunderstorms popping up coming up.
Former President Donald Trump's running mate heads to Raleigh today ahead of Trump's campaign stop in Wilmington this weekend. We're live with a preview of J.D. Vance's message to voters.
The morning commute got off to a foggy start, but many of us are seeing sunshine right now. So good to see that sun. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Thanks for joining us. Take a look at the video here near the intersection of Wake Forest and Six Forks Road in Raleigh. Wow, visibility was down to a 1/10 of a mile in parts of Raleigh and Durham this morning.
A lot of lingering tropical moisture means we could see a few pop-up storms this afternoon. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at the timeline.
The good news I have for you is we're in that nice zone. We're in between the morning fog and the later storms today. So enjoy the next couple of hours when you actually get to see some sunshine out there. Lunchtime temperatures are in the upper 70s to near 80. It is a perfect day to finally sit outside for lunch, soak in some sunshine, enjoy it while you can. So here's the setup. Here's the low pressure that moved through on Monday and Tuesday. It's just kind of remnant low at this point, but it continues to swirl and bring in a lot of moisture from the south. And with this flow, we're likely to see a couple of storms pop up, not until late afternoon and evening. It looks like pretty minimal rain chances during the daytime hours before sunset. As we look at the HD Doppler network, not much to see, just ground clutter here. A couple of showers in Mecklenburg County, Virginia, but those are teeny tiny on the radar. 80 degrees right now, dew point in the upper 60s. So you can feel the tropical moisture left behind just in the humidity out there today. Through 3 o'clock, rain chances are just at 20%. As we get later in the afternoon, rain chances start to climb. And by this evening, even past midnight, we'll have about a 40% chance of some lingering thunderstorms out there tonight. But we've got changes coming for the end of the week and into the weekend. I'll have a closer look at which days will be best for outdoor plans coming up.
And happening right now in the WRAL Life Center, an 80-year-old man is dead after a crash in Brunswick County. State Highway Patrol responded to reports of a submerged vehicle near NC 211 and the Lockwood Folly Water Bridge. This is the area where that man went into the water. The driver, Walter Robinson, drove around the sheriff's office vehicles and into this high water. Law enforcement vehicles did have their lights on, indicating that you shouldn't go around them, but he did. His car became fully submerged. A swift water rescue team could not find his car. First responders did go back to this scene today, and that's when they found Robinson. Governor Roy Cooper is touring damaged areas along our coast that saw lots of flooding like this. We'll have a report on that coming up.
The family of a black man found dead with a rope around his neck in Vance County is pressing for answers. The death of Javion McGee has received national attention. In less than 30 minutes, his family and their lawyers will speak together in Henderson. WRAL's Destiny Patterson is there and joins us now live. Destiny, McGee's family has traveled hundreds of miles to speak with investigators.
That's right. A family representative tells me that McGee lived with his father in Illinois and that his mother lived in Texas. So they traveled quite a long way to be here today. The sheriff tells me that he's meeting with the family before they come and talk to reporters this afternoon. The family has expressed concerns over transparency in this case. So I want to tell you how we've gotten here, what we've learned so far. The sheriff's office says that they're working to investigate the cause of death and the circumstances around it. We've learned McGee was in Henderson on September 10th, and that's when he was making a delivery at a Walmart distribution center not far from here. He's a truck driver. The sheriff's office released surveillance video showing McGee buying a rope at the actual Walmart store. And then we got a search warrant that says McGee parked his truck at a nearby repair shop, and then he was found not far from there with a rope around his neck. The other end of the rope was around a tree. The McGee family says says that they haven't been able to see the body at this point, and the sheriff's office says that they are asking for patience as they continue to investigate this case. And the sheriff's office says that they weren't able to see the body because of how far away his family was located from Henderson. The family spokesperson says that they can explain maybe the rope was used for the truck to secure a load on the truck. But again, the sheriff's office says that they're still investigating. They don't believe that McGee took his own life. His family, that is, again, we'll be hearing from his family in about 30 minutes here. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Henderson.
Big day for the Fed. After 2 years of taking aggressive action to fight inflation, today the Federal Reserve is expected to cut interest rates. This will be the first time since 2020, pre-pandemic. Joining us to discuss how this could affect day-to-day living is economist Mike Walden. Mike, thanks for taking some time for us. We appreciate it. Any cut, 25 or 50 basis points, what's the first tangible thing people will notice?
Well, first of all, I got my happy face on because this is a happy day for many people. Well, we've already actually seen the markets move in anticipation of the Federal Reserve's cut. Mortgage rates have actually gone down. Credit card rates have dipped a little bit. So this has already worked in the soup, if you will. And if for some strange reason the Federal Reserve does not cut interest rates, all that would be taken back. But I think the way to look at this is the Federal Reserve doesn't control interest rates. They set the standard. And it's going to be very interesting to look at two things. Number one, how much do they cut? My betting is on 0.25%. Others think 0.5%. And then secondly, what do they say after they cut? And I would anticipate that they're going to hint there'll be several more cuts through this year as well as next year.
So 0.25 is what you're guessing. On the other side of it, no cut, and then maybe 0.5, a half a point. Does it matter? Is there a difference in there?
Well, certainly it matters to people who are looking to immediately borrow. If they want the half a point cut, that would be bigger. But the Federal Reserve they balance two goals. One is to keep inflation under control. The other is to keep unemployment low. And they've been working on the inflation side. Right now, though, we've seen some upticks in the unemployment rate, so that has them worried. So I think they're probably going to sort of split the difference and say, well, let's go with 0.25%. That'll still maintain our fight against inflation. But they can always come back. I think the next time they meet, ironically, is the day after the election. They can always come back and cut more. So that's why I'm leaning toward the 0.25% cut.
Yeah. And could it be a magic bullet? Is there such a thing, or is this just a first in a series of steps?
I think it's the first in a series of steps, and I think there is bona fide worry. I'm not predicting a recession, but clearly the economy has slowed down. That's always the balancing act of the Fed. Too fast, too slow. Right now, I think they're worried about too slow. So I think that's number one, why they're going to do a cut now and why they're going to do further cuts. And in terms of people looking to buy a big ticket item like a home, I think the best time to do that is probably not right now when rates are going down, but expect more cuts. So I would look springtime that we could see significantly lower mortgage rates which would help people buy homes.
We have about 15 seconds, Mike, and you already touched on the uptick in the unemployment rates, so the job market could be affected. What about things like everyday prices, groceries? We've seen gasoline come down.
Well, we have seen the inflation rate modestly go down. That doesn't mean prices are going down. It means the rate of increase. Where we want to get, Jeff, is a situation where we maybe have 1 or 2% inflation, which is low enough that people's raises will keep them above water. We haven't been there in a while. So we don't expect all prices to go down. Some will, but what we expect is what the Federal Reserve wants is maybe a 1 to 2% rate of increase in prices year over year.
We'll be watching closely. I know you will be as well, and we'll talk again. Economist Mike Walden, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Jeff.
We are also closely watching how the markets are moving in anticipation of this expected interest rate cut. You see the Dow Jones Industrial Average in the red, down 90 points. Stocks are wavering in the uncertainty of how aggressive this interest rate cut will be. The S&P 500 down 10 points and NASDAQ down about 60 points at this hour. House Speaker Mike Johnson is moving forward today with a vote on a 6-month GOP government funding plan. Government funding runs out at the end of this month, so House leadership will have to come up with a plan B if the bill doesn't pass. The GOP funding proposal is viewed as a non-starter for Senate Democrats if it makes it to that chamber.
In just a few hours, former President Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, the senator, will speak at a rally right here in Raleigh. And this is video from his visit to Asheboro last month. This afternoon, Vance will address a crowd at Union Hall downtown. Doors open at noon. They just opened a few minutes ago. Vance is expected to speak at 3 o'clock. WRAL's Ashley Rowe is there. She'll join us live in our next half hour with a preview of his message. The Harris campaign, meantime, is responding to the Vance event with an unusual choice of spokespeople. Lifelong Republicans. Former Illinois Congressman Joe Walsh and former John McCain staffer Robert Brown spoke on behalf of the Republicans for the Harris movement. Brown said the late Senator McCain would be horrified by what has happened to the Republican Party in the Trump era, including the former president's refusal to accept the outcome of the election in 2020.
I'm speaking directly to Republicans when I say that Donald Trump poses a grave threat to our democracy and to our economy. And those are things that we may never recover from if he's elected. He's someone who doesn't care about Republican principles or values. He only cares about being in power.
Brown said Trump's economic plan for tariffs would cost the average family thousands of dollars every year. He cited economists who say Harris's economic plan would do more to help working people than Trump's plan would.
Hundreds of first responders and their families gathered in Raleigh today for the annual appreciation breakfast. The Greater Raleigh Chamber sponsors the event each year as a way to thank those who put their lives on the line for our safety. More than 450 first responders attended today's event. The program included a keynote presentation from the Adjutant General of North Carolina National Guard and recognizing heroes from each department for outstanding service.
When the American soldier or airman deploys overseas, hope and freedom follow. Well, the first responders are very similar because when there's a crisis that shows up, hope and calmness usually follows them to the incident. So we're very similar in that manner, and I appreciate what y'all do for our community.
Thank you.
WRAL's Dan Haggerty emceed this morning's event. WRAL is a proud community partner. Next at noon, a flight in Utah lost cabin pressure shortly after takeoff. The emergency response when people started bleeding from their ears and noses.
Also, fines proposed for SpaceX from the FAA. What the Elon Musk-led company is accused of doing wrong and how he now wants to sue the agency.
And how much do you know about your own government? At 12:30, shocking research that may mean a return of civics classes for students.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
A bill guaranteeing women's rights to in vitro fertilization failed to advance in the U.S. Senate. The bill needed 60 votes to move forward. The final tally was 51 to 44, with only 2 Republicans, Senator Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, voting in favor. Democrats described it as a way to put members on record in light of former President Donald Trump calling for universal coverage of IVF treatments without detailing a plan or who will pay for it. However, Republicans against the measure say Democrats are trying to highlight party policy differences.
Let me just again remind everybody that Republicans support IVF full stop.
If Republicans are serious about supporting IVF, if Trump's promise to help families pay for it is more than just bluster, there is no reason we can't pass this bill into law and help a lot of people.
This is the second time this year Democrats have tried to put Republicans on record on this issue.
Happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, a Myrtle Beach flight was cut short after a door fell off the aircraft yesterday. The FAA said the aircraft was a Diamond DA-40. That's a small 4-seater plane. Also in that report, the flight number matched a plane belonging to Lift Academy. An emergency was declared after that door fell off. A pilot and passenger were on board. No injuries were reported. They were able to turn back to Myrtle Beach International Airport and land safely.
Some Delta Airlines passengers are recovering after a flight from Salt Lake City to Portland Sunday experienced cabin pressure issues. Several passengers experienced bloody noses and ears. NBC's Tom Costello shares accounts from the travelers.
This morning, new details of the terrifying moments 140 passengers faced just minutes after takeoff on a flight from Salt Lake City to Portland on Sunday.
Sending below 10,000 for a cabin altitude warning. Delta 12-3, we're declared emergency.
The Boeing 737-900 forced to make an emergency landing back in Salt Lake. The problem, Delta tells NBC News, the aircraft was unable to pressurize above 10,000 feet. One passenger speaking out to our affiliate KSL TV.
It felt like somebody was stabbing me in the ear.
Passengers say they knew something was wrong, but the oxygen masks did not deploy.
The plane would go higher and then it would drop down. And then it would go higher and it kind of dropped down. And you could tell something wasn't right, but they weren't saying anything.
Some on board began bleeding from their ears and noses.
I grabbed my ear and I pulled my hand back and there was blood on it.
A gentleman about a row in front of me to the side, he said, "Can I get a tissue?" And I looked out over at him and there's blood coming out of his ear, running down his face. And it's like, man, this is not good.
The plane circled over the Great Salt Lake before making that emergency landing, with medical teams treating 10 passengers on the ground. At least one says she's still recovering from a ruptured eardrum.
It sounds like I'm underwater when I talk.
In a statement to NBC News, Delta says it sincerely apologizes to its customers for the experience, adding the flight crew followed procedures and supported passengers with their immediate needs. Veteran pilot John Cox says events like this are uncommon, but he believes the pilots handled the situation properly.
When you prioritize an event like this, it is not normal. And so we want to deal with it, but it's also not a full-blown emergency. Up to the point that you realize you have passenger injuries, and at that point, now I want priority handling back to the airport.
It is certainly not normal. That was Tom Costello reporting. No serious injuries reported, but 10 people were evaluated or treated after the flight. The FAA is investigating.
Renee, the FAA is also proposing more than $600,000 in fines against SpaceX for safety violations during 2 of its launches in Florida. The federal agency says SpaceX violated terms of its launch licenses in June and July of 2023. The FAA also accuses SpaceX of using an unapproved rocket fuel facility last year. Elon Musk is the founder of SpaceX. He's threatening to sue the FAA. SpaceX also faces fines from another agency linked to Starship launch activities at its base in Boca Chica, Texas. Those are for violating terms of the Clear Water Act. Happening today, House Speaker Mike Johnson will host a congressional gold medal ceremony recognizing the trailblazing women who contributed to the space race. Their work on the Apollo space program inspired the book and movie Hidden Figures. The awards include Katherine Johnson for her work as a mathematician, Dr. Christine Darden, who served as an aeronautical engineer, as well as Dorothy Vaughan and Mary Jackson. Today's ceremony takes place at 3 p.m. That was a fantastic movie.
I didn't see the movie, but I read the book.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you would have read the book.
But it was just so inspiring to learn about these women and how their minds were like computers.
It was well portrayed in the movie. I think. I don't know.
The sunshine is being well portrayed right now. So nice to see out there after such gloomy days. Meteorologist Kat Campbell in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. You have some pretty views there, too.
It's beautiful outside. Here's the thing. Enjoy it while you can. I can't promise you the blue skies the rest of the day. So head out for lunch, eat outside today. It's a good day to go for a long dog walk this afternoon. A bit on the humid side. We still have that tropical moisture hanging out, but boy, it's beautiful. Downtown Raleigh at the Natural Sciences Museum, the sky looking bright blue in the distance. All around, a pretty nice day. Where you see the black, that's where we have barely any cloud cover. All the white that you see on visible satellite is cloud cover. This is quite literally just a picture from space of the Earth. So that's why the white is actually clouds. A bit of cloud cover building in just east and around Jordan Lake there. And we're going to continue to see some of these clouds bands thicken up during the afternoon. So no promises that you'll see this much sunshine all day, but there's more sun today than the last last 2 days, so enjoy it. 3 o'clock, kids are heading home, getting on the bus or getting off the bus at that time. Perhaps an isolated shower storm toward the Virginia line, but I think most kids should be dry as they get off the bus today. For the 5 o'clock commute, not much out there, but we will have about a 30% chance of a storm, so about 30% coverage. A couple storms possible, but not very many at that time. And then once we get closer to sunset, that's when storm chances may actually go up a little bit. We'll watch to see if some of these storms actually move in and hold together. Even though that version of Futurecast isn't showing it, I do think that we'll see some storms linger even toward midnight and beyond. Here's the reason why. We've got the tropical moisture. You can feel it. It's pretty humid out there. We also have this upper level low now lingering right over the mid-Atlantic. And what that does helps to create lift. You got moisture, you got lift. That's what generates rain in the first place. But as we look ahead toward the weekend, we start to see that area of low pressure pushing to the east. That should mean drier weather for the weekend. There is one caveat here that we'll have to watch for. A couple of models are showing a backdoor front dropping in quickly from the north, and we're going to keep an eye on that for you and have an update this afternoon. So check in for updates. As of right now, though, we've got a dry weekend forecast. We may need to add a 20% chance of rain. The good news is not as much moisture to work with out there. Tomorrow, our next best chance for rain and storms of the next 7 days, really. And once we get to the weekend, even whether or not we see that backdoor cold front, we should see a big drop in humidity. It'll be feeling better this weekend than it is out there today, certainly. Football Friday, your forecast looks pretty good. About a 10 to 20% chance of rain at the beginning of the games. The rest of the games look pretty good, so that's good news for your Friday this week, since last Friday was such a mess out there. Looking ahead, we've got today and tomorrow's 40% chance of rain and storms. Fall starts on Sunday, and next week we've got some mornings with lows back in the 50s, highs in the 70s. Some really nice weather to look forward to.
Kat, thanks. The Federal Reserve is expected to reduce interest rates for the first time in 4 years. Coming up this afternoon on our News at 4, what this could mean for you and your family.
And tonight at 5, Zebulon Police launched a new program to help young people dealing with trauma, how it works, and the impact it's expected to make. RDU International Airport is opening 3 new restaurants, one featuring a 5-time local James Beard Award nominee, Chef Scott Crawford. The style and aroma is catching the attention of many people who travel through there. It's called Crawford's Genuine, with a mission to create great meals for airport customers on the go. Crawford says offering his wares in an airport was not on his radar.
But we did have to figure out what can we offer that can be executed within a timeline that's reasonable for travelers. Everyone, most people here maybe have 30 minutes, maybe an hour.
Yeah, a new coffee shop called Black and White Coffee Roaster is attracting a lot of people as well. Also, look out for Carolina Craft Bar, the 3rd new business ready to offer drinks and snacks while you're waiting to board your plane.
Tupperware and some of its subsidiaries have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The company that's synonymous with plastic food storage containers announced the filing in a statement on Tuesday. Tupperware is seeking court approval to sell the business. The Florida-based company says it's also seeking court approval to continue operating during bankruptcy proceedings. The wait is over. People who need to renew their passports can now do so online starting today. The U.S. State Department says its online passport renewal program will go live nationwide for the first time ever. The agency estimates 50% of passport renewals will be done online in the future. The agency hired more workers and even improved its website to meet demand. Passports that have been expired for more than 5 years, though, do not qualify for this digitized method.
Republican Vice Presidential candidate J.D. Vance is headed to Raleigh today for the first time. This is a live look right now inside Union Hall, where he is expected to address about 700 supporters this afternoon.
Okay, pop quiz for you. Do you know the 3 branches of the U.S. government? More importantly, do you know how they work together? Why some groups are calling on school systems to reinstate civics class. First, here's a look at your winning lottery numbers.
Republican Vice Presidential candidate Senator J.D. Vance is in Raleigh today, set to speak to supporters. He is going to take the stage around 3 p.m., but already people are lining up outside Union Hall in downtown. WRAL anchor Ashley Rowe is there now with us, joins us live. Ashley, what is Vance expected to talk about today?
Jeff, he's expected to be speaking about the economy, which, according to our WRAL polling, is the #1 issue for both North Carolinians and for folks right across the country. Let me step out of the way so you can get a better sense of exactly what's going on here. People are starting to trickle in. As you mentioned, there are hundreds of people who are outside lined up, just waiting to get through Secret Service security. This event is expected to start at about 3 o'clock. Now, both Trump and Vance have been highly critical of Kamala Harris, trying to tie her to grocery prices and the housing market. But this is going to be interesting timing for this event, with the Federal Reserve expected to lower interest rates this afternoon as well. Inflation has cooled. Gas prices are lower. The consumer price index has gone down. So this is going to be interesting. What's he going to focus on? I spoke with a number of folks outside in line, asking them, what do you want to hear from Senator Vance? They say they want specifics about those everyday pocketbook issues, like how is he going to help me with a lower grocery bill, with my utilities, with my mortgage rates, etc. So that's what they're looking for. Again, this event starts at 3 o'clock. I'll tell you, security is tight. So this is going to take a while for everybody to get inside. Security is so tight, guys, that even my hairspray was taken away from Secret Service because they won't allow any aerosols in here. So I'm in the market for some new hairspray. But nevertheless, this event, we're expecting Senator Vance to start speaking at 3 o'clock. We'll have a full wrap for you here throughout the day on WRAL.
Ashley, thanks. Democrats and LGBTQ plus advocates are condemning a new post from Michelle Morrow. She's the Republican candidate for state superintendent, and Morrow claims the plus in LGBTQ plus includes pedophilia, which is not true. The plus is used to signify all of the gender identities and sexual orientations not covered by the other 5 initials. Morrow's opponent in the superintendent's race, Democrat Mo Green, released a statement in response to that post. He said, quote, "This is another example in Michelle Morrow's long history of spreading hatred, encouraging violence, and proving she is unfit to lead our public schools." Morrow has not responded to our repeated requests for comment. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson is calling out Josh Stein, saying his opponent for governor has been telling lies about him and his record. Robinson also says he wants a debate. Speaking about Stein, Robinson said, "You don't want the people of North Carolina to see exactly how weak, cowardly, and quite frankly, what a liar you actually are." The Stein campaign responded with this: a debate would only serve to legitimize him and provide a platform for his vile and dangerous rhetoric, and we won't be a part of that. A recent WRAL News poll found Stein leading Robinson in the race for governor, 51% to 37%.
When it comes to the government of the United States and the role Americans play, how much do you really think you know? The result of a recent survey may shock you. Marianne Rafferty takes a closer look at how concern over a lack of civics knowledge is inspiring calls for change at the nation's colleges and universities.
As the countdown to the presidential election ticks louder, a growing number of educators are calling for more college students of voting age to learn about how the government functions and their roles as citizens.
They have no idea how many senators there are in the United States, how many House members there are.
Kevin Dopp, political science professor at the University of South Carolina, Beaufort, likes to start the first day of his American National Government class by having his students take a citizenship test.
It was definitely harder than I thought it was going to be.
The results this year were underwhelming.
We have 30 students in the class, and 21 of you will have to leave because you're not eligible to be citizens of the United States. I'm just kidding.
While most states require civics lessons at the high school level, a recent survey from the Annenberg Public Policy Center reveals less than half of Americans can name most First Amendment rights, and less than 2/3 can recall all 3 branches of government.
Because we're a country not based on ethnicity or races, based on certain principles, what that requires is that people have to know those principles. You learn how to be an American.
And at a time when the political atmosphere can seem tense, civics advocates hope teaching people about their rights can help connect instead of divide.
What's more unifying than the founding principles of this country?
That was Marianne Rafferty reporting. In April, the UNC Board of Governors unanimously approved a plan requiring students to successfully complete a course or courses covering the foundations of American democracy. The requirement applies to students entering the system starting July 2025.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, at least 9 people are dead and more than 300 others are hurt in a second wave of those device explosions in Lebanon. The blast followed multiple exploding pagers used by Hezbollah yesterday. That blast killing 12 people, including 2 children, and hurting more than 2,800. Israeli officials said they did notify the U.S. they were going to carry out the operation in Lebanon, but did not give any details on what they were planning. And just in the last 30 minutes, we're learning the Israeli defense minister has declared the start of what he is calling a new phase of the war.
Raleigh City Council unanimously approved a plan to move Red Hat Amphitheater. The move is to make room for the city's expansion of the Raleigh Convention Center. The city would move the amphitheater 1 block south of where it currently is on McDowell Street. The new location for the live music venue will be in the 200 block of West Lenore Street, and the move is expected to be complete in 2026. The new Red Hat will hold an additional 500 concert goers with a capacity of 6,500.
Up next, we'll introduce you to an outstanding Wake County theater teacher who encourages each student to shine bright.
Plus, scientists have figured out just how many toxic chemicals enter your body through food packaging, and the number is in the thousands. Why they're bad for your health. Our team is working to bring you exclusive stories for coverage you'll find only on WRAL. Visit WRAL.com and search only. All the world's a stage, as Shakespeare once wrote. That is true for this week's Teacher of the Week.
WRAL's Ken Smith introduces us to a theater arts teacher directing her students to success on and off the stage.
Downstage, center stage, sit down.
Julie Kate Hazelrig has mastered the art of teaching students about the joys of showcasing their acting skills on stage.
There's a phrase that I use is be the person who you needed when you were younger. And I think back to those adults who were influential for me, who made an impact on my life. And I do get to see those glimpses of when they have like a breakthrough moment. And it's exciting to see it.
Now in her 12th year as a theater arts teacher at Garner Magnet High, Ms. Hazelrig never forgets the teachers who influenced her. Now she gets to pay it forward.
I kind of see myself as kind of like a coach. It's not the same as coaching a sport, but in a lot of ways you get to see a student grow, and you get close with their family, and you get to watch how that student just navigates their life and finds out who they're going to be. When we come over here to the blocking style,
For Ms. Hazelrig, the classroom, or in this case, the school's auditorium, is her stage, where she is known for bringing out the creative abilities of her students through class productions.
I knew I wanted to go to college for theater once I got there, and then from there I kind of realized that teaching was going to be the path for me.
Miss Hazelrig, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week. Congratulations.
Ken Smith, WRAL News.
Great stuff. If you would like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
Standing ovation for her.
Yes.
Well, scientists have found out how much toxic chemicals enter our body through food packaging. Next, the serious health concerns they could cause.
And Billie Jean King will earn another honor, the historic recognition she's getting. Some clouds there over Lake Gaston, but a sunny, beautiful look right now at the lake as you watch WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
If your kids haven't been vaccinated yet for the upcoming flu season, this is a good reminder. It's not the only step, though, that you should take to prevent illness.
Things like washing your hands, avoiding touching your nose, mouth, and eyes, certainly if there's people with sickness around. And for the good of everybody around you, if you are feeling sick, so of staying away or mitigating the exposure for other people by staying home, particularly if you have fever, for at least 24 hours.
Pediatricians say the flu typically spreads through respiratory droplets, such as when a person sneezes, coughs, or even talks. Symptoms may include fever, cough, body aches, fatigue, runny nose, and sore throat. In most cases, the flu will resolve on its own with rest and rehydration. However, there are medications available if needed. Parents also need to watch out for RSV and for COVID. A shocking amount of toxic chemicals enters the body through food packaging. A new study found more than 3,000 chemicals seep into food during the packaging process. 79 of those chemicals are known to cause cancer, genetic mutations, and reproductive issues. While researchers say that food packaging materials do comply with government rules, that does not mean that the chemicals used in the packaging are completely safe.
A fall hike is a great way to enjoy the cooler weather, but it is important to prepare before venturing out into nature. An emergency medicine doctor says setting realistic expectations are crucial so hikers don't end up hurt from pushing themselves too hard. He stresses it's best to plan a route based on your fitness level and be sure you can navigate it without relying on cell phone or GPS in case service goes out. A lot of places don't have service. Also remember to check the weather as you head out and dress in layers. Above all, though, let someone else know you are going on a hike and approximately where in case anything goes wrong. You don't want to miss the next Tar Heel Traveler special tonight at 7:30. It is all about adventure. From car racing to boat racing, the seas, the roads, the trails and rails, plus zip lining and skydiving, mountain biking, hot air balloons. It's all in there. Join us for the thrills. The Tar Heel Traveler Adventure Special. It is tonight at 7:30.
That's an adrenaline rush right there for all you thrill seekers.
All that happening. And with the cooler weather, this is time to get out and do some of those things. But as we head over to the WRAL Severe Weather Center, Kat Campbell has a look at the tropics right now.
And, you know, yesterday we had a nice quiet map. I told you it wouldn't last, so enjoy it while you could. And there are two areas we're watching for potential development. This one would not affect us in any way. It's the remnants of Gordon. They could redevelop. Not a big deal. This is the one to watch. We could see some development south of Cuba as we head into the middle of next week. Right now, a 20% chance of developing. That chance is likely to increase in the days ahead. The European Model Ensemble is an exclusive product that we have here at WRAL, showing an increasing chance that this could develop, about a 40% to 50% chance of development by Wednesday of next week. This will be the area to watch. Many models are showing Gulf Coast impacts, potentially some rain from this system for us here at home by the end of next week. So it's worth watching for us, certainly. This weekend, not looking too bad. There could be some clouds around. Otherwise, it's pretty nice. There are a couple models that are trying to drag a front through the area. Not a lot of moisture for it to work with, really, but we're going to have to keep an eye on that. So check in for an update on your weekend forecast starting at 4 on WRAL. A little breeze Sunday. It's the first day of fall. Right now, we're going 77 for the high. Partly cloudy. It looks pretty nice. Today, it's feeling humid, but at least we get to see some sunshine, some blue sky here at Dix Park finally to help dry out all these puddles that you see here. 80 degrees, the sunset tonight, 7:17. So here's the setup. We have this broad swirl that you can see. I've got the upper level winds. This is an upper level low pressure system at this point, and we'll continue to see a lot of moisture fed into North Carolina from it. With that, we'll see more clouds, perhaps some fog develop tonight, and the potential for a few thunderstorms later this afternoon and evening. Not everybody's going to see them. It's going to be more of the hit or miss activity. Midnight, we will still have the chance for rain, and that could linger a couple hours past midnight as well. Tomorrow morning, either clouds or fog to start the day, and then we'll watch for some scattered showers and storms popping up a little bit earlier tomorrow than what we're likely to see out there later this afternoon. Beware of the clouds in the morning. I think the next 3 mornings, even Saturday, we could have a lot of clouds around. So just keep that in mind out there if you're headed out and about early. For tonight, we'll see low temperatures only dip into the mid 60s. And then once we get to next week, we could see temperatures dip back in the 50s for a couple of nights. In the meantime, though, it's going to be feeling humid again tonight and tomorrow. Friday, still pretty humid feeling, 82 the high, but rain chances start to go down Friday. And into the weekend, we'll see a drop in temperatures by Sunday into the early part of next week. So it does look like for the start of fall, it's actually going to feel a bit more like fall out there, Jeff and Renee.
Yeah. After more than a decade, Michael Jordan has found a buyer for his Chicago mansion. How much he's letting the home go for ahead.
Also, we have a look at the winning Mega Millions numbers: 14, 31, 48, 57, 64. The Mega Ball is 9. The Mega Plier is 3.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today.
The family of the truck driver found dead with a rope around his neck in Vance County is pressing for answers. Javion McGee's family is expected to hold a news conference in Henderson. This is a live look at the setup right there. They'll be joined by prominent civil rights attorney Harry Daniels and Lee Merritt. McGee was found dead a week ago today under a tree near a parking lot where his truck was found. His family says evidence points to murder, not suicide.
In just a few hours, former President Donald Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, will speak at a campaign event here in Raleigh. This is video from his visit to Asheboro last month. This afternoon, Vance will address a crowd at Union Hall downtown. Vance is expected to speak at 3 o'clock. WRAL's Ashley Rowe is there, and she will bring us the latest at 4.
Governor Roy Cooper is on the coast to get a closer look at the recovery effort from severe flooding there. He's starting his tour in Southport. He'll meet with local emergency management officials there.
Billie Jean King will become the first individual female athlete to be awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. King received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2009. A bill to recognize the Tennis Hall of Famer was introduced on the 50th anniversary of her victory over Bobby Riggs in the Battle of the Sexes. The medal is awarded by Congress for distinguished achievements and contributions to society.
After more than a dozen years on the market, the Illinois mansion, once owned by Michael Jordan, has a potential buyer now. Jordan originally listed that property for sale at $29 million, but reduced the price to $14,855,000 several years ago. Why not just round it up to $15 million, you say? Well, if you add up the new selling price, the digits result in the sum of 23, Jordan's jersey number for all but 23 games with the Bulls. The 56,000 square foot home has 9 bedrooms, 19 bathrooms, 5 fireplaces, and of course, a basketball court.
Our pet of the day was born at Cat Angels and was adopted. And through no fault of his own, he was recently returned. Phoenix is a handsome 5-year-old orange tabby. He excels at hugs and chasing the red dot, and he loves playing with his brother, with whom he hopes to be adopted. Phoenix has a special diet and gets medication through the skin. If you'd like to meet him, fill out an application on the Cat Angels website.
Raleigh City Council approved millions of dollars last night for a new affordable housing project. What's included in that plan to bring more housing options to the Moore Square area? That's coming up at 4.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Have a great day. We'll see you at 4.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.